welcome everybody. My name is Josh Sayre. I'm eager to share some of the best and most practical, tactical advice I've got for all the homeowners here. Hey, buddy, super excited to have you. Very excited to have you. Again, we got a great presentation for you. It's going to be a great webinar. So excited to have you guys here. You have no idea how cool this is going to be. It's going to be great. People like to avoid mistakes more than they want to get something. That's human psychology. And so to kick things off, I just want everyone to know, like, I think just probably very similarly to how you probably think. And instead of avoiding these costly mistakes, right? This is a homeowners class. I want everyone to think this is what it actually means, how not to screw this up when it comes to either selling or buying or just moving in general. We want to know, how do we not mess this up so that it doesn't cost you a bunch of money? And I don't want that for you. And we're going to make sure that in this class, you guys are very, very, very prepared, active. So let me ask you how you might be feeling right now, because again, this whole presentation is all about you and what you're feeling. So maybe you're feeling concerned, maybe you're feeling stressed out, intimidated by the whole process. Maybe you're unsure of how it all works. Maybe you're anxious, uncertain. And what I want you to know, here's the thing. I remember what it was like when I bought my first house, and even as a realtor when I bought my current property with my VA home loan. And my mind was just blown, remembering how emotional, stressful, uncertain it all felt that first time when I bought in 2016, and as a client, as just like a non-real estate agent, and then as a real estate agent and buyer myself in 2022. So, over the years, I've helped 80 plus people, families buy and sell their homes, sometimes at the same time, actually. So if you've been stressing about this whole home buying and selling thing, my goal tonight is to help you take a deep breath and hopefully get the best night's sleep you've had in a while. Because by the end of this, I want to make sure you feel like, hey, we got this. I feel in control. I want you to feel a lot more at ease with the whole process. So if you need to grab something to write because you're probably going to want to take some notes, because we got some really great information that I don't think you'll find anywhere else. If you stay to the end, we do have thousands of dollars worth of goodies for you to partake in. So I really am excited to show you those things. I just have a question for the audience. How many of you have worked with a real estate agent before who seem more focused on themselves than you, or even just listening to you? Just let me know in the chat if you've worked with somebody like that before. And I say this as I have a massive picture of my face in the background. Yeah, listen, I just don't want that to be I'm going to let you know right now, that's not what this is. That's not me. And since day one, I've been focused on helping people like you sell their properties while also guiding them through the whole process, including, buying their next property. Because this is the most important transaction most of us will ever take place in our entire lives. It's typically the largest one. And like I said, I've been fortunate to help so many people and have the opportunity. I take a lot of pride in my work. I don't feel like that is very common nowadays. People just like to phone it in. I want you guys to get the absolute best experience. And, that's really enough about me. I'll just quickly touch on, hey, my big why is my girls. I got my little girl right here, my big girl right here. And these are who keep me going. I've been in real estate 5+ years. I'm a Air Force combat veteran, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan. I was actually ranked in the top 1% of real estate agents, realtors in Phoenix. And so again, that's probably enough about me. This is not about me, it's about you, just to give you context. It's never to brag or boast, just to give you an idea. And it's because I really love homeowners, home buyers, and they really love me. And I, again, don't say that to brag or boast. It's just there's so many fakes and phonies nowadays. It's really nice to have people that you can work with who actually care about you. And so you can see these are just a few of the many 5-star reviews that I have, just kind of giving you an idea. I help people, sell their homes, help them buy, help them sell and buy. But enough about me, okay? I told you this is not about me, it's about you. Here's what I've learned in 5 years is most sellers actually screw this whole process up. Most sellers actually screw this whole process up. And, that's really unfortunate because that's based on 5 years of doing this. I can tell you that like 90% of the homeowners out there not my clients, but the other people, are leaving money on the table, and or they're having a very frustrating experience. And I'm sure, Leslie raised her hand. She said, yeah, they probably had somebody who was less focused on you and more focused on them. So our job today is to help you see around the corners so that you're the most well-prepared homeowner that you could possibly be. That is my goal and objective. So what are the steps to selling your home? First is finding the right real estate agent, because you need a guide to help you solve your problems. Then it's pricing the home properly, setting a home selling timeline, preparing for the market. I'm going to help you and lead you on this. Staging your home for maximum appeal. That's not always the case. It depends, like if you live in it or not. That will determine if you need to stage it. I'll give you a very personalized idea as to whether that's appropriate or not. Then listing the home, accommodating showings. Every showing that you can accommodate is basically money in your pocket, and I'll explain why, but long story short, the more showings you can get, typically the more offers and the higher in sales price and best terms and conditions that you'll get. And then finally, negotiating and closing the deal. That's the webinar. No, I'm just joking. That's not the webinar. So mistake number one is not being educated on the current market. So what are we seeing here? We're seeing a couple of things, and I'll get out my handy dandy. I think I have a pen resource. Yeah, there we go. We got a pen. We're gonna take this. So as you can see, this is like the start of each year. This is my expert drawing capabilities. Okay, lasts like 5 years, and you can see the run up around June of 2022 is when we had the highest kind of home prices. Then from there to February 2023, there was a pretty significant correction. That's when the interest rates started coming up. So we went from 3% interest rates to like 6.5%. And that was a pretty significant shock to the market. It brought it down significantly. Since then, and these are different places, Gilbert, Chandler, Mesa, Queen Creek, right? Whoops, we don't want to go to the next slide. You can see there's different growth in different places. So Gilbert is flat across the board. Chandler is up 6%. Mesa, kind of flat. It kind of depends on where you're at in Mesa. Mesa's a big, big place, geographically speaking. And then Queen Creek has been exploding in terms of growth. But what you're seeing is home prices are basically up, about 1%. The number of homes sold has gone up significantly, means more inventory is coming back on the market. And then it's taking about 10 days longer year over year for houses to sell, just to give you an idea. And this is for the Oregon market. I don't think we have any Oregon folks tonight. I think we just have Arizona folks. If you're an Oregon person, let me know, and I'll go over the slide. If we don't have any Oregon people, then I'll just jump to the next thing. But long story short, a very similar story there as well, where you saw in 2022 that kind of peak happened in spring of 2022. And now in these markets, Eugene, Springfield, Portland, if you're in Oregon, you'll know where those are at. Here we go. You're seeing actually some growth in there versus Arizona's growth has been a little bit, flat. Oregon or Portland, I'm sure we can all guess why. It's kind of a crazy city. People have been leaving that city, so you're seeing flat growth and actually negative growth overall. So that's just a general idea. So that way you have all the information that you need to make the best decision for you and your family. And really quickly, because I know some people might be, I'm just getting a link for you guys. Some of you guys might be, juggling toddlers. You might be in the middle of eating dinner. Hopefully not. Hopefully I didn't interrupt your dinner with an invite to this very important and very informational presentation. But I am just going to drop a link in the chat for you guys. If you want to go ahead and have a confidential conversation and you can't stay for the entire call, go ahead and just book a call with me now, and we'll get your, everything situated. We'll have a time that works for you. It's completely no obligation. If you don't like me, if you don't like what I'm saying, you just close the laptop. Super easy. Okay, so go ahead and do that if you can't stay for the whole call. But again, I just want everybody to tell me who loves the idea of leaving thousands or tens of thousands of dollars on the market. I don't. Me personally, I do not like leaving lots of money on the table. So it's all really about the monthly payment. So let me pull back the curtain real quick and tell you kind of how my brain works. I like to spend less money if I can help it. if it actually makes sense. If it's like an investment or something, I'm up for that. But if I can help it and I can get just the same, the same thing, all things considered, the same thing, but get it for a better price, I'm going to go with the better price. I think many of you probably feel the same. Perfect. We already got one call booked. Great. Yeah, so that's how my brain works. Does anybody else feel that way? Does anybody else kind of react that way? They want to get the best bang for their buck? Just let me know in the chat, okay? I'm going to go over a quick example. So let's just say Johnny, or better yet, let's say Paul wants to buy a property, right? Wants to buy a home. He wants to buy a home. Hello, Andy. Hello, Paul. Let's say Paul wants to buy a home, and the purchase price of that home is $475,000, which is pretty typical, home nowadays, if you can believe it. A minimum down payment, this would be using usually an FHA loan, is about $16,000, $17,000. And at current interest rates, that monthly payment would be about $3,000 a month. I think that's including like taxes and insurance and stuff, but all in all, it's about $3,000. Okay. And some of you might say, okay, Josh, but can we get back to this thing here about leaving all this money on the table? Well, I was saying that to say this. Here's what most people don't know about. It's called an assumable loan. So let's say Leslie, which is a very nice name, Leslie. Let's say Leslie wants to buy a home using an assumable loan. Well, what does that entail? Well, let's just say it's same purchase price, right? And the down payment is $50,000. I'll explain what the down payment is in a moment. But using an assumable loan, you could get an interest rate at like 3.5%, which is like half of what you would have paid. Instead of 3,000, your payment is 1,700, 1,800. Who would love that? Like, just tell me who would love to pay half for the next place. And you can let me know in the chat. Roxana, yep. Andy would love that. I would love that. I love saving money, especially if it's half for my house. It feels a lot better. You're saving a ton of money on interest. So the down payment is the difference between what is currently owed for an assumable loan, is what's currently owed on the property by the seller, and the final sales price. So maybe we'll go back to my handy dandy pen, and let's just say they owe, oh, this is so hard using a mouse to write, 425. You guys can see it. You guys are troopers. We're even going to put a dollar sign because you like money. So 425 is what they owe. 475 is what they're selling it for. 50,000 is what you would come up with in order to actually make that purchase and assume their loan at the interest rate that they may have gotten in 2020, 2021, early 2022. And now you're the winner because you are paying this instead of not that. Instead of this. Who likes that idea? Who likes the idea of paying half less? Just let me know. Okay, so here's two ugly facts, is that many banks won't tell you about assumable loans because they don't make money on it. They don't make all these origination fees and other things like that, which is like, why would they tell you about it if they're not going to make all that money? Listing agents will not tell you about it because often they want a quick check, and this could take maybe 30 days longer than a typical process, like a typical sale. But it's going to save you so much more money over that time that, in my view, it's typically worth it for most people if you can afford it. Like, if it makes sense, then you should do it. But if it doesn't, and I'll tell you which is which, because like if you're going to pay $200,000 down for 0.5% lower interest rate, I'd say no, don't do that. Just save your money and refi hopefully later when rates come down, hopefully. But we don't know if that's the case. But it just still wouldn't be worth it, in my view. But for everybody, it's a personalized conversation that has to be had. So mistake number 2, sellers are going to do the right things, but in the wrong order. Tell me if you've ever done this, right? Have you ever started making a cake? You got all the right ingredients, but you didn't do things in the right order. And because of that, the cake turns out like this. Wait, I don't want that for you, okay? We don't want this to be your house selling experience, turns out like that. And that's because, like I said, sellers do the right things, but in the wrong order. So they might stalk Zillow for 3 years. I love being on Zillow in my bed, just looking at homes I know I can't afford that are like $2 million, $4 million, $8 million. I love doing that. But seriously, though, they'll stalk Zillow for a ton of time. They'll see a Zestimate. It's a Zillow estimate. It's just an estimate of value. It's a computer algorithm, totally generic, for their home. And then they think That's definitely the market value. It's actually the market value, no further research required. And to be fair with you, that's just not the case. It is just an algorithm, and algorithms can be off several percentage points. And when we're talking about a house, that can be tens of thousands of dollars. I've seen things way off, like $200,000 off. And it can be low or it can be high. You just need a personalized examination and market analysis to see really what your property is worth. So then they get curious. They call a few cash offer firms. They don't get good deals, and I'll tell you why in just a moment, but they don't get a good deal on that. Then they just throw it up on Zillow as a for sale by owner or a FSBO to see what happens. They get millions of spam calls, no good offers, and finally they just get tired and they pick a random agent who is a friend's wife that they went to first grade together with. And that is a true story. That actually happened to me. Somebody I was about to work with, they ended up choosing like somebody they went to kindergarten with. They didn't sell their house. They ended up staying where they were at. It didn't work. There's a reason why people don't do that, believe me. So if that's the wrong order, what's the right order? The right order is to first choose a gladiator agent who will work to get what you want done, accomplished, and executed. Then pricing the home properly so that it actually will sell. Then you get your house ready to go on the market. Often, if I'm working with somebody, I'm going to do that for them. I'm going to front all the costs. I'm going to take care of everything, handle all of the logistics. 4, you list the home, accommodate showings, like I mentioned earlier. 5, negotiating the terms of the purchase contract. And then finally, your probably favorite part of the deal, which is closing the deal. And that's where you get this big check. Well, it's typically wired, but you understand, right? Mistake number 3, they sell without the proper guidance. Okay, don't lump me into this category. Okay, somebody said, "Well, you're kind of handsome and you're a sales guy." I'm like, "No, I'm not handsome. This is a Zoom filter." Okay, so don't let me in over there. But this guy, he's going to run for office someday. He makes you feel like you're the only person in the room. Smells good, talks fast, drives a suspiciously nice car, and says it's fine a lot when you ask any questions. He's typically worried more about his paycheck than yours, and it's overall not a good experience. So then there's the friendly sales lady. She can talk to a wall. She started off by asking about your dogs. Suddenly you're signing a majorly long contract, 50-page contract, and she needs you to sell this house and sell it today, or she's going to get replaced at her brokerage. Okay. These are the people you don't want to deal with. Okay. This is not good. Okay. Here's another thing is the cost of selling on your own. 90% of sellers used a real estate agent. That was up from 89% in 2023. Okay. Only about 6% of sales were for sale by owner. That's a historical low. There's a disparity here because of builders and stuff like that. But typically, out of all of the for sale by owners, almost 40% of those were relative to relative, friend to friend, neighbor to neighbor type sales, which in certain cases it can make sense. But I think, of course, a consultation, a private, confidential conversation where you could figure out one, the value of your property as well as just your options is more than likely a better option for you. So difficulties selling your property, and I've helped a lot of people who started out trying to sell their house themselves, and they were so glad that they ended up, hiring me. But many of them struggle to price the home right. They face challenges with selling in their desired timeline. They found it difficult to understand and complete the paperwork. And the crazy thing is, if you can believe it, FSBOs often sold on average, this is median, $55,000 less than an agent represented home. And so I'm not a mathematician, but that is typically larger than an average professional fee that a competent listing agent like myself would charge. So these people, I'll tell you a quick story. I met with a first sale by owner 3-4 years ago, whatever it was. And I knocked on the door. I'm like, "Hey, is this house still for sale?" I'm just curious because I was in the neighborhood. So I was like, and I think it said it was an open house. It was wrong. But I show up and I'm like, "Hey, is it still for sale?" And he's like, "No, like I just actually got everything done. And I just had the appraisal. And the appraisal came in at blank. I think it was about $50,000 less than what, in my view, that property was actually worth." And he was so proud of himself. He literally like gave the house away. And because of the appraiser, because of the buyer, I mean, he'd lost a lot of money, but he's like, I didn't pay any real estate fees. I'm like, no, you didn't. Yeah, that worked out for you. No, it really didn't. I felt bad for him, but that's okay. But as you can see, there is a significant difference in agent sold homes and for sale by owner sold homes. Here's the hidden cost of selling for cash is often these places, Open Door, Zillow, I think, what's the other one? There's another one, OfferPad. They'll charge you like a service fee, like a 5% service fee, plus repairs and closing costs. And like that sounds a lot like a real estate professional fee or a listing agent fee would charge anyway. And that's going to be for the buyer agent and other stuff like that. And you're actually getting it on the market. So people ask me all the time, like, how do I get market value? I'm like, you got to put it on the market. You got to put it on the market to get market value, obviously. And what they find, what the studies have found actually is that sellers are typically sacrificing 10% or more of their home's value just for the convenience of selling cash. And the crazy thing is, when you get paid at escrow, when you do close on a house, say like I represented you and we got the house sold, and the escrow title and escrow company is paying you out, that's going to be a cash payment anyway. And that can happen. It happened for one of my clients in 7 weeks from the time we met to the time they closed on the deal. And so cash offers, they'll typically say something like 2 or 3 weeks or even less. But there's a lot of conditions to that. Sometimes they're not even going to be the ones to buy it. They're actually selling the rights to buy it to somebody else. So, and there's so many different things that can happen with it. Again, my recommendation would just be to get a consultation with a professional so you can really see what your options are, what actually makes sense for you and your family. I promised I would do this. I promised I would show this. These are some of the top projects that you can invest in. It's going to depend, market to market. This is more specific to Arizona, but the point of this is it's similar in Oregon. But the point of this is here are some of the and this is stats. This is not me just making this up. These are stats of the highest ROI projects. So an HVAC conversion to an electrical unit, siding replacement. Uh, it's not like the coolest sounding things in the world, but my recommendation is before you go make any crazy complete any crazy project or make a massive investment in your property, please come talk to me first so I can either save you money, because I've had people that they painted their house, they spent $5,000-$10,000 on paint. I know, inside and out. And then they came to me, and then we listed the property and people said they hated the paint. And the buyer ended up changing it anyway. So my seller just wasted all that money, thousands of dollars where they didn't even have to do it in the first place. Here are the worst projects. Again, just take a quick look at this. Feel free to take a picture or screenshot before you do anything. Like these are types of projects. If you're going to live somewhere for a long time, these are the types of projects you do because you're not really concerned about the ROI. You're just doing it because it's a nice thing that you want to, that's the type of place you want to live in. And then here's just those numbers again, just put in a different way. The problem many people have is that no one is looking out for you. If you're self-represented, as an example, we typically sell homes a couple times a month usually. So we know what works, and we'll show you proof. Here are the real tactics that help you get top dollar. So first is paid online advertising to get the property in as many eyeballs as possible. And in this market, putting your best foot forward is needed. Okay. It's not 2021. You can't just Leslie says, wish we had this Zoom last year. I'm sorry, Leslie. I should have invited you to the Zoom last year. I'm sorry. No, but I do apologize. I should have been there for you. But yeah, you got to put your best foot forward. Making sure the house looks great on the internet is vital. And Leslie, go ahead and just let everyone know, had you had this information 12, maybe 14 months ago, would you be in a better position, or would you have had a better experience even if you had had this information? Just go ahead and let everybody in the chat know, because it seems like you had just either sold your property or bought a property or whatever it was. But go ahead and let everyone know in the chat if you can, if this actually would have benefited you in a pretty good way. What are buyers looking for? They're looking for price. They're looking for a location, and they are looking for amenities. Leslie just said 100%. So that lets everyone know this is good stuff, okay? It's totally free. What are buyers looking for? They're looking for a good price. They're looking for a good location, and they're looking for amenities, schools, shopping, entertainment, things like that. Wow, that guy's really handsome over there. Wow. That's when I signed for my house that I'm living in right now. That I'm hosted. This is the Josh Sayre headquarters that I'm in right now. And that picture is me signing on the dotted line for my house, just signing until your hand hurts. I don't know if anyone's ever done that, bought a house or sold a house. You sign a lot. Some might ask staging. I hear a lot about staging. Is it necessary? Sometimes, yes. Other times, no. Again, it completely depends on your situation. And we actually have services that we give to our sellers where if they, let's just say, if we went in there and we spent some serious money, we as in us, our company, if we spent like some serious money, we could actually increase the sales price significantly, obviously above what would be getting spent, and like net you a significant amount more money. We would actually do that for you and nothing would come out of your pocket. So that is something that not a lot of people offer or can offer. We can offer it, and we'd be happy to help you if that's something that's needed. Because I'm sure you guys can see what property is going to sell for more money. The top property, the picture of the property at the top or the picture of the property at the bottom. And they're the same property, which is crazy. So yeah, let me know in the chat what you think. Would the top property sell for more or would the lower one? And so I bring that up. Typically, my opinion, staging, it has to be a really specific situation. We can even do repairs, things like that. But again, that is for a very specific one-to-one confidential conversation that we'll have just so we can give a good idea as to what is going on in your situation. So virtual staging, it's an incredibly effective way and affordable way to make your home stand out. You can change it very easily. We can just, go to the photo editor, get it changed for you real quick. They even have like AI photo staging now. It's crazy. But we can make changes very easily. Again, this works great if it's vacant. It can just add a little bit of panache to the online photos, make it look good better. And again, it can be easily changed if it doesn't look good or if it doesn't really sit with the market that well, then we'll change it. But typically we have a pretty good idea. 3D tour and Matterport. This is something that I do on all of my listings. Many agents that you will meet out there go out and they take pictures with their phone. They take pictures of your $500, $600, $700,000 house with a cell phone, and then they just upload the pictures and hope for the best. That is not what we do. That is not what we do. So we do a little bit, something a little bit more robust where you have, I don't know if anyone's ever used Google Streets and you can click a point on the street and scroll along it and actually walk the street virtually. This is like that, but for real estate. So people, let's just say you live in Arizona and there's a buyer from California that wants to come out and buy your house and pay a ton of money and do it quickly, right? Well, when they're in California, they can go to your property, go through the floor plan, see what they like, see what they don't. So one, we don't have people showing up to the house that actually don't like the floor plan because that can sometimes be feedback. People are like, I don't like the floor plan. It's like we got the floor plan for you right there. So this way, one, you don't have to leave the house for people that, don't like the property for something that you can't change. And two, it just really gives them a far better idea. It is important to structure the pictures in such a way, which I do all the time, so that they make sense. You're not like walking in the front door and then the basement and then the attic and then out back and then back into the kitchen. I do my photos far differently, but so that this is an amazing technology. It's something that I use for my listings, and it gets a significant, increase in activity, showings, and even offers, especially when priced right. But they can see the exact floor plan. And then they can click each of those buttons, those green buttons, and go to that part of the house with the 3D photo. Targeted marketing strategies to maximize your sale price. So this is a property that I listed in North Phoenix. And what we did, and this is what I do for all my listings, is we market it on Facebook and Instagram, actually. And that's not because, we just want to like get more attention to ourselves, because most of the time we don't get people that are interested in using our services from Facebook. What we typically get is people interested in buying your property. Not all the time, but it does definitely help. It's just more eyeballs in your house. And I've talked to numerous people when I've held open houses for people, for my sellers. And I said, like, how'd you find the open house? Like, oh, I saw it on Facebook. I saw it on Instagram. Like, oh, that's awesome because we posted the ad. Most of your agent friends, most of the people you know that are real estate agents, they just post it to their page, their personal page. They don't do any advertising at all, and they just hope for the best. Now, who's going to get the better deal in that situation? If you just have an agent who just throws it up on their personal page, doesn't do anything, takes pictures with a cell phone, or if you have a highly aggressive marketing specialist like me, who gets this property listed on every single platform available and then aggressively markets it not only locally but out of state as well. So my listings they're not shown on Facebook and Instagram just in Arizona, but they're shown in San Diego, LA, San Francisco, because that's where we're getting a lot of traffic from in terms of people moving from those areas to Arizona and Oregon, by the way. This applies to Oregon and Arizona. And I'm not just making this up. This is an actual screenshot of my ads for my listings. And you can see, I mean, instead of getting like 500 views on a listing, which is what many people, like many agents get on theirs on Zillow, as an example, we're getting 15,000, 11,000, 11,000, 10,000, 8,000. Are you starting to see the power of getting that property properly marketed? I know I do. Oh yeah, just another one. See this Arizona, California. So this is just proof. Don't just take my word for it. Look at the actual photos. So we're getting these listings of ours listed in multiple locations. Now, twilight photos. Now I want everybody in the chat, right? There's 3 photos. This is photo number 1, photo number 2, photo number 3. I want you to tell me which property stands out in a negative way. Okay? Which property stands out in a negative way? And we're just talking about pictures. Okay? So this is property number 1. This is property number 2. And this is property number 3. Let me know in the chat. Just type 1, 2, or 3. No wrong answers. 1, 2, 3. Which is negatively standing out to you? Which does not look good? And we can't move on until people start typing in the chat. Leslie says 3. Don says 3. Yep. Waiting on one more person. 3 photos. We gotta have 3 people saying Paul says 3. Okay. So my listing, somebody else's listing. We actually bought this. I helped a buyer purchase this. We got the property for $15,000 below what it appraised for. So we got it $15,000 below what the bank said it was worth. And do you think if they had photos like this, as an example, do you think that property might have stood out more? Do you think it would have gotten more traffic, more traction, more showings, more offers? We got half of the street in the picture too. Half of the drive. It doesn't look good. You got to be able to take good quality photos, have an eye for it, and make sure that you're getting your clients the absolute best presentation, because first impressions only happen once. And we have exactly one first impression with each buyer. Okay. Now, if you haven't already booked your call because you're just not ready yet, go ahead and book your call now. Again, if you can't stay for the rest of the call, that's fine. We're not going to be too much longer. We're almost done. If you do book your call, you're actually going to get thousands of dollars, access to thousands of dollars of goodies and bonuses that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. I just posted that link in the chat. So if you're unsure, like I'm not sure how to get to it, just go ahead and go to the chat box. You'll see that link in there, and we'll get you booked in. We'll find the exact proper time to meet, and we'll have a completely confidential, no obligation discussion about what works for you and what is best for you in your situation. So mistake number 4. We only got 5 mistakes. We're mistake number 4. We're making good time. So people don't price their home properly to get the maximum amount of attention and offers. That's a mistake. Let's talk about the pricing. So in the first 2 to 3 weeks, that's where the bulk of the viewings online, in person, everything happen. Just let me know, anybody in the chat, have you ever seen a property be on the market for like 12 months and they sold for a ton more money than they were listed for 12 months in? No. I haven't. And I've sold houses in Oregon and Arizona all these years. It typically doesn't happen that way. And what I've seen work really, really well is pricing your property well to get maximum aggressive attention up front, because that's when the most amount of buyers are looking at it. That's where the most excitement, the most traffic is happening. And when you do that, it's like sort of a blitzkrieg initially, instead of sort of because what many agents will do is they'll come to you, they'll tell you an unrealistic price, you list for the unrealistic price, and then the next day they're asking you to cut, and make these little tinsy bincy cuts, and it's death by 1,000 cuts, unfortunately. Instead of a bam, aggressive price, get it on the market, get maximum attention, just take all the attention away from everybody else, get tons of showings, multiple offers, get the best price terms and conditions you can possibly get for your property. And that's what happens when you price it appropriately. And here's what that looks like. Let's just think of a triangle, right? If your asking price, should I pull out the pen? If your asking price is, say, this is market value, and it's 15% above market value, you're going to get very few buyers that will even look at it. And many buyers, it's strange, psychology of it, but many buyers, if they see an overpriced property, they won't even make an offer on it, because many people say, well, just make me an offer, just make me an offer. Many people just won't do it. One, they don't want to offend you. Two, it's probably way off from where you're currently listed. So it doesn't sit right with a lot of people. It's weird, I know, but that's just how it is. I don't have to like that fact. I just have to kind of accept it, because that's what gets my clients the best possible results. So when people actually underprice it, right? Say a property's worth $415 and you price it at $399. Do you think you're going to get more traction, more action, more people coming in the door? And can more people afford at a lower price? Fewer people can afford a higher price. That's just how the economy works. So let me just get rid of my pen here. And quickly, we're going to go over the 5 steps involved in selling a home in 30 days. And let's tell this story with cost in mind. So when we're done, you're going to have a list of costs you'll have a plan for. Okay. Does that sound fair? So let's talk about who is going to be asking for how much and when. First things first, how much does it cost to have our team get you ready to sell and or buy a house? Can you believe it? So upfront, you're not paying any money. I do a success fee. I'll talk about that later. But long story short, there's no money out of pocket. It's very simple. Is everyone able to see me all right? It seems like there's a little delay on my video. If so, let me know. If not, I'm just moving forward. But yeah, even if it takes us a year or longer to get you ready, and this does go, this goes from January to December. Even if it takes a year or longer, we're going to help you out. Okay. And it just from a buyer's perspective, and because some of you may actually be buying a property now or after you sell your property, here is, like, I don't want you to freak out. You're fine. We kind of figure this out. So the first takeaway, don't allow someone to do a hard pull on your credit yet. If your score is like right on the line, if it's marginal, this could drop it several points, and it could result in your rate going up or you being declined for the loan, which none of us want. Soft pulls do cost lenders money, so that's why they don't advertise them. My lenders do, but the lender I work with, yeah, they eat the cost, so they don't pass it on to you. Second takeaway is don't be a hero. Okay, if you have some kind of collection, something on your report, don't pay it off yet. Okay, unless you're talking to I would just say talk to the lender first. The lender typically has the best possible idea as far as what you need to pay off and not pay off. So just run everything by the team first before you take any step. So step number 1, earnest money. So typically, like if we're finding a home for you or somebody's finding our home, and they make an offer, we make an offer. Let's just talk about it from your perspective for a second, right? Someone makes an offer on your house, they're going to attach earnest money to that. So they're going to say, hey, and it's commonly 1%, depends on the market, but it's commonly 1% of the sales price. It's totally negotiable. This is the skin in the game that the buyer has. Okay. Step two, now we're under contract. So now we need to make sure that this deal actually has legs. And that at this point, that's where the home inspection is going to happen, the pest inspection. These are typically $400-600 for home inspection. Pest inspection might be 150, 200, kind of depends. And then secondary inspections may come into play, like the roof, septic, stucco, HVAC, etc., foundation plumbing. These costs vary, and sometimes the people will do the inspectors will do it for free because if there's an issue, then they can get some business there and they can actually fix it for you. Again, like I'll help you make sure I'll give you the right recommendations, give you a leg up on everybody. But those secondary inspections, don't necessarily plan for those, just have an idea of them. Don't anticipate that you're going to have to pay a ton of money. The home and pest inspection, almost always kind of keep that in your mind if you're buying. And that's what the buyer who's purchasing your house is going to have to afford. Never had a second inspection. Wow, that's tough. Yep. And if I were your agent at that point, I would have made sure that that happened. So, but it's okay. It's all right. So renegotiating the deal. So let's say we're going to buy the house that we want for you to get into. Based on the inspection results, we're going to either terminate the contract, going to get your earnest money back, go find another house. We're going to pick the top 2 or 3 items for the seller to perform. Now, if I'm your agent and we're selling your house, I'm typically not going to have you being a contractor, like having you like fix up your house. Almost always, I mean like 97-8% of the time, we're going to do a credit. If we're going to do anything at all, we're going to do a credit. And that keeps things, one, moving. So we're not waiting for contractors, waiting for all these people, things to get in place, parts, labor, whatever. We're just here, here's the money, take it, right? If we're going to give anything at all, small concession for some repairs, they can make it, right? Because if we make the repairs, we're usually going to owe those people receipts, warranties, contractor invoices, things like that. And like I said, the third option is the option I prefer, especially for my sellers, is to negotiate a credit in lieu of repairs. Again, this is if we decide to give them anything, which is not always the case. But if we do give something, then we would, give a credit. Then it all goes quiet. We're waiting for the appraisal at this point, right? So you'll get a request from the buyer will get a request for the lender to pay for that appraisal. As a seller, I have not had a single seller that's ever paid for a buyer's appraisal. Okay, so don't worry about that, but that's just not the case that I've had. If you're purchasing a house, you're going to front that cost. Typically, you're going to pay for that appraisal. Remember, if you're buying a house, this is not the cue to go buy a bunch of furniture, open up some credit cards, go buy a Range Rover. Do not do that, okay? Don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Wait till after you buy the house, then go spend all the money, right? And then step 5, it's done. Then we go to closing, right? You hand over the keys, you get the keys with the title company. I probably will hand you the keys. I've done that quite a bit. The title company hands over a big check with all of your proceeds that we worked so hard to get for you. Well, okay, like I said earlier, they typically wire it electronically into your bank account, but you get the point, right, Leslie? You get the point. And mistake number 5, they don't hire, and this is talking about sellers, they don't hire a gladiator. Now, what is a gladiator? Well, any dummy can upload a property to the MLS. Any dummy can go open a lockbox and show you a property. Those are typically not the highest and best use of what I can do for you. That's typically not the best thing. Yeah, exactly. Leslie said, yeah, that was my agent. I'm sorry, Leslie. I wish we would have talked sooner. But any dummy can do that, right? My job is not to show you houses typically. And I don't say that in a cocky way. I say that like, I can do far more for you by picking up the phone and negotiating my butt off or going and looking for deals and assumable loans and things like that. And what I'll typically do is have my colleague go ahead and show that property. That way I can be most effective for you doing what is going to save you the most money or make you the most money. My job is to pick up the sword and fight for you and to use the shield to protect you from harm. Because there's disclosures, there's all these other sorts of things. What is a gladiator? Well, this is what it is. I want your kids to go to a better school than you did. I want you to put on more equity faster because we squeezed out every single dollar we could when it came to negotiating with the buyer or negotiating with the seller when you go to buy your next property. Okay. I want you to get every single dollar you possibly could because we tried as hard as we possibly could. We didn't just phone it in. I want to make the impossible possible. And selfishly, okay, I'll put selfishly last. I want you to be an insane, raving fan and tell everybody you know how good your realtor was so that they can fire theirs. How's that? How's that? Just let me know in the chat. Is that fine if I selfishly want you to be a totally big time raving fan? Uh, I don't want, I don't want ever be anything close to Leslie's past previous agent where she's a raving anti-fan. We never want that. We want raving fan. Yeah, sounds good to me, Leslie says. What do gladiators do differently? When someone says you can't sell for top dollar, we don't believe them. We don't believe in the three P's. What are the three P's? Most agents do the three P's. That's putting a sign in the yard, they put it on the MLS, and then they pray to God that somebody else sells that property. That's not how we operate. If we don't see enough interest from buyers, we'll proactively reach out to somebody who's actually ready to buy. Maybe there's somebody in our list, in our sort of database that we might be able to reach out to. We'll stay up late adjusting our strategy to maximize your home's exposure. We're going to negotiate hardcore, right? I have a Doberman. Probably can't see her because the screen is blurry. I have a Doberman. I'm going to be your Doberman. I'm going to go and rip people's faces off for you so that you get the best possible deal. Every single cent we can, put into your pocket, I'm all for. Some people are like, "Hey, be easy," but I'd rather be a little too aggressive, and then you let me know when to bring it down a little bit. And so, yeah, we're going to negotiate hard with people, some of whom are difficult. We're going to leverage marketing strategies like high quality photos, 3D tours, and social media ads. And we're going to consume copious amounts of caffeine. This is caffeine gum. It looks weird if it's all blurred out. It's like something bad, but it's caffeine gum. Okay. We're going to consume copious amounts of caffeine and analyze every listing we possibly can in your search area to find the one that we can negotiate for you to an extreme degree. Is every tactic we use going to work? No, but we'll pull out all the stops until the problem submits. And here's what I'm going to look like after the fact. I don't know if that was funny or not. I can't hear you guys, so I'm assuming there's some chuckles or like chortles or snorts. It would be helpful to let me know. So again, what is the right order? Someone laughed. Someone laughed. Thank God someone laughed. So what is the right order again? It's to choose a gladiator agent who will work to get what you want done, executed. Somebody who's going to help you price the home properly so that it will sell for the best price, terms, and conditions. Someone's going to help you get your house ready to go onto the market, list your home, and help you accommodate those showings, negotiate those terms of the purchase contract, hardcore, and then close the deal. That's what we want. Andy raised his hand. I promise I'm going to answer your question, Andy, in just a moment. So I'm going to put you over here for a second. Oh, little headache. So let me ask you folks in the audience now, are you feeling a little less concerned, a little less stressed out? Let me know in the chat. A little less stressed out, a little less intimidated, less anxious, less uncertain? Can you let me know in the chat if that's the case? Your job is singular. Tell me what you really want. You let us worry about how to make it happen. So right now, okay, I'm dropping the link in the chat. If you are thinking about moving, and I'd say anytime in the next 12 months, okay, if that is even a possibility in the next 12 months, what I want you to do is just go ahead and book a call with us. That way I can have a confidential conversation with you, go over all the ins and outs, give you ideas. You can bounce stuff off of me, ask me questions, get an idea specifically of what your home value is, things like that. I want you to just go ahead and book a call right now. It's typically 30 minutes, and it's going to be a very action-packed call where we're going to go over your personal situation. Now, I want to help you and keep you from getting stuck. Because some of you might be thinking, I kind of like him. He's cool. He's kind of funny. He seems intelligent. Seems like he knows what he's talking about, but I'm a little stuck. Well, here's how I'm going to get you unstuck because we have these types of bonuses right here. And I'm going to go over right now the Real Estate Wealth Academy. It's something I myself created. And here's what's included: a Buyer's Academy. You're going to learn everything about purchasing a house. Seller's Academy, learn pricing, staging, marketing strategies, etc. Investor Academy. Some of you might not be looking to sell a property soon, but you might be looking to pick up an investment property at a very good deal. That's where you're going to find a lot of information on that, ROI calculators, etc., negotiation and closing tips, insider guidance, right? Tools and resources, vendor discounts, etc., etc., etc. Don, I really appreciate that you said thanks, or that you said great job. And for those of you who book tonight, you're going to get access to that Real Estate Wealth Academy, plus any extra modules that we end up releasing over the next number of weeks. Anybody that works with me, right, over the next 12 months in 2025, you're going to get a entry to win a vacation for two to Cancun. And we can always change the location if we need, but as long as it's reasonably, close in terms of if it's like, let's just take a circle of Cancun. If it's anywhere in that circle as far as Cancun is, let's throw that in there too. But everybody knows where Cancun is, okay? So that's why I say Cancun. Exclusive closing day surprise home seller gift basket, and of course, access to our exclusive network. This is AKA discounts. Okay, folks. Well, we had a enormously successful webinar. We just actually were talking with some people after the fact who had a great experience. They learned so much, like I hope you did at home, at work. If you're driving and watching this, I hope you're not driving and watching this. Wait till you get home, then watch it, then book an appointment with me so you get all those bonuses and goodies and everything we talked about. My name is Josh Sayre. I hope you had a wonderful time with me. I can't wait for us to, work together in the future, have an appointment together in the future. And with all of that, I'm excited to meet you. I'm excited to talk with you, kind of figure out your situation, what I can do to help. And with that, I am signing off. Talk to you soon, and we are out. Folks.